In the last sitting, we understood that Guru Nanak's methodology, the technique, was based on the relationship of a master and a slave. Sacha Sahib, Sachnae, Bhakya Bhav Apar. So we spent some time in trying to understand and try to take a look at comparatively as to why did Guru Nanak propose this methodology as compared to the prevalent methodologies of Judaism, Islam, Christianity, Buddhism and Hinduism, that the 5 known methodologies at that time. And we went into some of the details of it. So then the immediate question comes, the master that we have chosen, who declared him the master? Why is he the master? And who made him? And why should I accept him as a master? And why should I be a slave? And the answer was, because to create a state of being where you can spiritually evolve, the biggest problem is management of the ego. Aham, Hangta, Ahankar. How to control it, how to manage it. In every relationship on this planet, the possibility of ego rising up, sooner or later it will stand up in every relationship. And we thought about some of the examples. Just to paraphrase the example, if Christianity says he is the father and I am the son, we saw that the son will grow up and the son will want to become equal to the father. Son will want to have his own say. Hence the ego will rise somewhere along the line. In Islam, the Sufis created the model of lovers, and we saw that the lovers are normally equal with each other. And the love is not possible when one is too high or the other is too low. So if they are equal, sooner or later the ego will come. I am surrendering and he or she is taking advantage of me. How long I am going to continue bending? I better stand up for myself. And the ego will come from the back door. But when you have a relationship of a master and a slave cannot assert. If the relationship is to continue, slave cannot demand. There is a beautiful Sufi story which bears repeating here. Some of you have heard it, some of you may not have. Ibrahim was a Sufi fakir, a saint. He was once upon a time the king of a small country. And as it was prevalent in Islamic cultures, he went to buy a slave. A young man was being auctioned, and somehow or other this young man impressed him so much. He bought him, brought him home, and the very first question he asked, "What's your name?" And the young man said, "Whatever name you give me would be fine." He said, No. My question to you is, what is your name? He said, "Well, I am answering you." A slave cannot have a name. You tell me what. Well, what did they call you when you were previously serving the master? He said, well, that was the name which he liked. It is irrelevant. He called me by the name because that was name dearer to him. You tell me what you want to call me, I'll respond to that name. So no matter how much he tried, he said, no, you are going to have to give me the name because you are the master and I'm the slave. Okay. Alright, so you are a strange man. I'm going to call you Lala from this day onward. Okay. Lal is a precious type of a stone. Are you a vegetarian or a non-vegetarian? What you eat and what you don't eat, what you prefer, what you don't prefer. Same response. Malik, you're the boss, I'm the slave. Whatever you will give me, I will eat. If you don't give me, I won't. Hey, wait a minute, come on. Don't you have any desire? I say, of course I have a desire. What is your desire? To please you? Hey, come on, tell me. How about your clothes? How about your sleeping habits? Are you going to tell me anything about you? What's your past? He said, my past died the moment you bought me. That past belonged to the other one. Okay? He fell in love with him so much. And this guy is serving him and the months are going by. And one day they wanted to go out. Both master and the slave went out. On the way, the master felt hungry and said, okay, let's keep the horses here and go over there and bring fruit. First wash it in the running water and then bring it to me. So it was an unknown fruit. He brought it, washed it, gave it to the master. Master took a knife out, cut a quarter piece, and slave says, master, can I taste this first? Now this is the first time the slave has asked for anything. And he's so pleased. Because a quarter and gave it to him. And he eats it, enjoys it, he's flapping his mouth and he cuts the second piece and he said, well, give me this one too. Okay, so he takes the second one. He cuts the third piece and he literally snatches it from his hand and swallows it. Now the master is angry. It's a very odd behavior on your part. You are being now rude. You are hungry, so am I. Now what is this nonsense? And he was just ready to snatch the fourth piece and the master just took a small bite and suddenly the whole of the body is filled with the poison. It's so bitter that he can't even stand it. And now he realized what had happened here. Oh, you foolish fellow. You didn't even show an expression on your face and it is such a bitter fruit and you ate the whole darn thing and that's why you are not letting me eat it? Why didn't you tell me? And he says, Master, from this hand, ever since I came, only sweet things have come. For the first time from this hand, something bitter came. Do you think I should complain about it one time? The hand that fed me so much sweet, should I complain about it if it once in a while also wants to give me bitter? Wouldn't that be actually ungratefulness? What kind of a slave would I be? Ibrahim left his kingdom that day, gave it all to him and he said, you have learned to become a slave and I haven't even learned to become a master yet. You have learned to become a slave and I don't know how to be a master. So I better go learn to become one or the other properly. So he left his and went into. Ibrahim became a very great Sufi saint of that world. That's the relationship of a master and a slave. And Guru Nanak says a Sikh needs to develop a relationship between the ultimate master of us all as a slave, not as a lover, not as a husband and wife, not as a son father, but as a slave. And why is that? Why is that a proposal? And now you see the link. The reason I gave you that background is because I want to clarify one thing, that these things, when you read from with a very cursory mind, they look totally unrelated. They are disjointed. The language seems to jump up all over the place. But there's a spiritual thread running underneath it. And that's what I was trying to, and my continuous effort here with this group is, stay with the spiritual. You have heard enough about the physical. You have heard enough about the intellectual. You have heard enough about the political. You have heard enough of the social. Let's look at the spiritual thread that's running underneath it now. I am not calling anybody wrong. I'm not rejecting the physical or the social or the intellectual or the emotional. I'm pointing out to you that these words have a spiritual thread, and it's that thread which is directly connected to the Creator. All others are connected to this world. They are not connected to that. So if you have a desire, a need, a curiosity to experience that feeling from where it came, you have to focus on the spiritual element. Last time we had some discussion also on this topic, and we wanted to remind the congregation here, please remember, this is pure spiritual. It does not negate your earlier socio-political environment. It only adds on to it. So why to create that relationship? And the line says, Thapya na jaye, kita na hoye. Thapya. Thapya mean is to establish somebody and give somebody the title and the authority and the responsibility and everything with it. To install, yes. To put somebody on a pedestal and say, this is who you are. Well, this is one master. Just as Abraham said, I have not learned to be a master. This one master doesn't need that. Je sab milke aakhan paahe, vada na hove, ghat na jaye. And we have poetry written in our own language, where a poet says, "O God, you should be thankful to me because I am making you the God. Because without my worship, without me calling you the God, how would you be a God? Human, you know." As we, in our romantic poetry, we say, "Shamma bekar hai, jisme ujala na hua, husn bekar hai, agar chahne wala na hua." Means what? Somebody can be as pretty or handsome as there is ever going to be one. But if there is no admirer, so what? If there is nobody to appreciate, to look at it, and to admire it, so what? Because they both exist with respect to each other. They exist with respect, just as today, for us, a truth exists because there is a lie. If there was no lie, for us it will be difficult to recognize what the truth is. The human existence is between the duality. And this relationship for this particular energy, this force, there is no duality, there is no other. Hence, no establishment, no creation, no definition, nothing to be known. Then, well, that's the riddle then. After all, he's there. If when I see you and I say you are there because I see you. If nobody sees you, how do you know you are there? You can see yourself. And that's a life of the physical existence. That's how mind, body system recognizes it. But if there is nobody to see him, then how do we know that he was there? And the answer comes back. Says, thapya na jaye, kita na hoye, ape aap niranjan soye. Now this word needs to be understood. Niranjan. Anjan literally translated mean surma, kajal, kalak, kala, dark, black. Things. I don't know what would be the English term for this. Anybody? Surma ko kya say? Anybody?
Mascara.
Huh?
Mascara.
No, not mascara.
Eyeliner.
Black.
Kind of eyeliner.
Okay. Mascara and eyeliners are for the decoration of the hair that's on them. Okay. This is actually in Punjab it's used. I have not seen the ladies do it here. It actually makes the eyes look wider because the black runs like this, and they run that horizontally to make the eyes appear larger than they are. But it's always dark. It's always black suit.
It's carbon suit.
Yeah, it's like a carbon suit. It's a carbon suit. Yeah. Now, the white and the black exist because they both exist with respect to each other. You take any one of them away, the other disappear automatically. If there is a white sheet and you put a dark spot on it, they both are recognized. But you take a white sheet and put a white dot on it, the sheet will be there but dot is not, because there is no background. The Niranjan, the one who does not have a spot, then how do you see it? The one which has no spot, which is spotless, how would you ever recognize it? How would you see it? And the answer comes back. He says, it's not because you want to see it, you want to prove that I see it so it is there. It is not dependent on your being there, your being able to see it, recognize it and establish it. It has nothing to do with it. Ape aap niranjan soye. I am that I am. And I need no proof. I need no confirmation. And I don't need any denial either. If you say you are not, good luck to you. Continue saying you are not. And if you say no, you are, continue saying you are. I am independent of both. Your denial or your acceptance or your confirmation has nothing to do with it. That is why, because it is greater than the greatest, it is self-created, the only relationship you can have with that energy is of a master and a slave. There is no other possibility. That will be a long-lasting relationship. It's not possible. Every other relationship has a flaw. Thapya na jaye kita na hoye, ape aap niranjan soye. It's spotless. And the recognition of the spotless is not because of somebody being able to say, okay, I notarize you now. You are who you are. He needs no proof. Needs no confirmation. Wow, thank you very much. And now you confused us even more. He is there, but we can't see it. We cannot confirm it. We cannot deny it. Then where do I go? The one who is still living in the life of duality. What should that entity do? Who has no capability right now, cannot recognize it, cannot accept it, cannot deny it. So what's left for me? The response comes back. Jin sevaya tene paya man. In the most prevalent translation, the translation is Sevya means jisne seva ki thi, the one who served him. As I said, I'm going to go through the spiritual aspect of it. You cannot serve something that you don't see. Cannot serve something that you cannot touch. That translation is not doing service, justice to it. The word Sevya actually is coming from Sivrya, the one who meditates. Sivrya, जिसने याद किया, जिसने उसका नाम जपया, the one who recited his name, chanted his name. Sivrya. The word is Sevya, but its roots is Sivrya. The one, if you really want to know the solution to the problem that you just have perceived, it's not a problem, you have perceived it. Why? Because I just said he has no confirmation, he doesn't exist, he is self-created, there is no shape, form, no comparison. I mean, you can see the stars because there's a backdrop of the deep space, which is dark blue. You can see the star. Now, when there is no background, you don't see the stars. But does it mean stars are not there? They suddenly become visible because there's a backdrop. So, if that energy has no backdrop because it's a Niranjan, does it mean it's not there or it is there? How do you know that? The answer comes back, says Jine Sivrya. Jine Sevya. The one who has meditated upon his name, or her name if you like, and some of you ladies may be very liberated, so I'm okay with that. Or its, if you don't want to give any, because no matter what word you use, it will be incomplete. You call it him, her, it, that, what it is, it doesn't matter. All words are impotent to describe. So we'll take the, it says being it's a man's word, so let's stay with that for now. He's there. When you meditate on his name, then what happens? Tin baya man. Man does not mean the respect. And that's your literal prevalent translation. Jisne uski seva ki thi, unu bada maan milaya. That's not the spiritual meaning. That's the social meaning. Because we want everybody to say, hey, he's a great man. We want the respect of the world. The one who meditated, paya man. Man here means mannan. It goes deep into the consciousness. Later on, manne de utte char paudiyan kahiyan jaane, char ank aunge. It's that mannan. He gets that image, that mannan, because we earlier said that he has no backdrop. Okay, so how do I recognize him? By meditating. Then what will happen? Tene paya man. It will go, in mannan ho jayega, yaad ho jayega, andar chala jayega. It will go deep into and you start seeing from inside. That's why it is called antar jami. Jam means to sit, to live, to rena, to be the resident of. Antar, he is the resident of your inside. And if you start meditating, you will start seeing inside. And suddenly you will not need any backdrop because you are looking inside, you are not looking out. Only these eyes need the comparison. These eyes have no way of... right now we say we are seeing something. What are we seeing? Well, here is a piano. How do you know there is a piano? Let's shut off the light. Why is this a piano? Because the light struck the surface, reflected, and went into your eyes, and it certainly created an image. You have no capability of seeing with these eyes even outside if there was no backdrop. So when we are talking of that ultimate creative energy, and I want to experience the energy, and Gurbani gives the answer in a very, very profound way. He says, Jinne Sevya Tine Paya Man. The one who has meditated has actually truly remembered him, have seen him. Usne pa liya. He has achieved it. Now, why pa liya? Paya. Look at each word. You can only find something, you only look for something that which you once upon a time had it. Right? You have a keys in your pocket, you put somewhere, you misplace it and you start looking for it. You don't look for something that you never had. Right? There is no memory. So what are you looking for? I don't know. What happens to the people when, how do you know I am in love? Well, I will know when I see it. Why? Because I have no memory of it. Love is something you only know when you are in it. You cannot define otherwise. I'll know when I get there. So, every human entity and every creative energy, every creative force, whether it is in the matter form, plant form, animal, bird form, they have a memory of that energy because they are source, right? They have come from the same source. Somewhere deep down, we know we once had it. We were part of it. There is a latent memory somewhere. So what happens? Then suddenly you find that. You suddenly come across that. Aha! That's the one. That's a paya. Something that you have actually lost. You regained back. When Buddha went to his father for the first time, and father said, well, what have you achieved? He said, actually, I have lost a lot. Really achieved nothing. Well, that is stupid. To go out and then come back and say, I have lost everything but gained nothing. He said, of course. I lost everything that my surroundings had conditioned me with. The parents taught, the society taught, the teachers and the universities and my sanskar and everything. I lost everything. He said, well, then what happened? He said, well, I just remembered something that I had forgotten. I have gained nothing. I just remembered. Now what is have you ever noticed the word remember? Split it up. Read it as member. उसका member फिर बन गया, इकट्ठा हो गया. So what happens? You suddenly come across that which from whom we have actually started walking away rather than toward. More we walk, more our consciousness flies outward, more distance is from that creative energy, more we walk inward, we keep on getting closer, that's all. You cannot look for God because God isn't lost. Neither are you. You are part of it. You cannot go away from it. You are only alive, we are only alive because He is a part of us. So understand this, Jine Sevya Tenne Paya. He got it back. How? He suddenly remembered, manan ho gaya, man gaya. Then what should be done then? He said, well, here is the solution to all those things, inquiries. Nanak gaviya guni nidhan. So what should you do? He said, well, I just told you. Start meditating. Now, gaviye does not mean what is being done today in the traditional world. Understood the word Gana? That this harmonium and a drum and my singing, that's not gaviye. Gurbani's gaviye is something totally different. And you have to go into the Gurbani and find out where is gaviye defined. And that is defined, Gun Govind Gayo Nahi, Janama Karat Keen, Kaho Nanak, Har Bhajbana, Jehe, Bid, Jal Kau, Me. That's singing. Means what? He says, you have not done it. Gun Gobind Gayo Nahi, you have not done it. You are mistaken that you have done it. You are telling the world that I am singing the praise. And that's what we do. We go to the temples and the churches and the gurdwaras and the mosques and we run our orchestra and we have these notations and the compositions and the music and we start beating the drum and we start singing. And Gurbani says, well, that's not singing that I was talking to you about. You have not understood the word. What's that word then? He says, because you are focused on that kind of a singing, you have wasted your time, you have wasted your life. Gun Gobind Gayo Nahi, Janam Akarat Keen, you have wasted your entire life. So what is Gana then? Next line says, Kaho. Say his word, meditate. What should I say? Well, because it is coming from the Sikh theosophy, he says, say that which Nanak said, the word that came from Nanak's house. Say that. Kaho Nanak. Nanak de karo, ek shabd aaya, ek akhar aaya. Go, repeat it. Ah. Jadon nu aakhenga, aakh rahe le vilaye. When you start it, Kaho Nanak. What? He says, Har Bhaj. That's what the bhajan is. Well, is this not bhajan that we are doing right now? Well, not in the spiritual sense. In the physical sense, yes. In the emotional sense, yes. In the intellectual sense, yes. But not in the spiritual sense. Because I remember one of my friends who was in the congregation here reminded me, he said, well, you need to make that distinction. When you say, this is not right. It is right from some dimension. Yes, I agree. Those translations are not right from the spiritual dimension. So, Guru Nanak says, Kaho Nanak Har Bhaj. That's the bhajan. The real Har Bhajan is to repeat that one word. But, okay, how am I repeating it? Well, is when my tongue runs back and forth, is that repeating? He says, absolutely not. Har Bhaj Mana. The repetition needs to be done from the inner. The outer is just a help. It's a tool. It's a mechanism. It's a means. It's not an end all. Because I remember my life started this way. I was only a few days back. I was sitting with the convener of Chinmaya's missions right here, and my life started there in Bombay. When Chinmaya started speaking, along with a few other friends, I used to be a harmonium. Somebody will be on a dholak and will start Hari Om Namo Narayana. बस उसकी धुन शुरू कर देनी. जिन्ना जब स्वामी जी नहीं आए, Hari Om Japo Narayana, Hari Om Japo Narayana, and the people will get hypnotized like crazy. Because there is a good music, good orchestra, there is a single statement. There are close to 4,000 people sitting in the Shivaji Park in the evening. Cool breeze of the ocean. And you are repeating one word on the loudspeakers and everybody with a close Hari Om Namo Narayana, Hari Om Namo Narayana. That's it. Well, is that singing? Is that meditating? No. That's hypnotism. What's the difference between meditation and hypnotic? Hypnotism puts you to sleep. Muscles may be relaxed, the body may be relaxed, but it is actually taking the consciousness in the opposite direction. It's putting you to sleep. Whereas the meditation will wake you up. It will energize you. I'll share a personal secret with you. Every 2 weeks, every Friday, I don't get to sleep. I will leave from here, go home, I'll stay up all night. Because the energy is there. Just no way. Am I tired? Absolutely not. Not a single yawn. It drives my household nuts. They get up in the middle of the night, I'm still sitting on the sofa. I say, what's going on here? The guy's gone mad. God help him. The meditation has exactly the opposite impact on the mind. It wakes you up. The kind of music that you hear in the temples and in the churches is actually putting the mind to sleep, to give you relaxation. And you think, oh my God, kitna dhyan lag gaya, so samadhi lag gayi. I'm trying to draw the distinction for you. The mind will wake up. And what is the very first test that you are actually getting to the meditative state? While awake, let me give you the very first test. You will lose the track of the time. You will absolutely have no idea. When you are out of it, you look at the clock and say, oh my goodness. It will speed up. Because the internal clock is different than the external clock. External clock will always strike 24 hours no matter what. But the internal clock can slow down when you are in pain, when you are waiting for somebody, when you are in misery, in any kind. When you are in love and you're waiting for your lover, the clock absolutely does not move. In a single second, you will look at it 5 times, oh my God, what's going on here? He or she is too late. No, the clock is still there. Your clock has slowed because of the concept of the pain. But when you are in meditation, the clock will still be the same, but you will say, oh, wait a minute. What do you mean? I mean, this always happens to me when I am in Gurdwara. It always happens to me here when I am here. I had to consciously remind me, oh my God, these guys need to go home and it's already 9 o'clock. I haven't gone on the second line yet. So that's a test. So understand, when Bani says, Gun Govind Gayo Nahi, they are talking of that Gungana, that meditation, which is the Japana, which is the chanting or the repeating of the name, with what? With the mana. Use your body, take it inside. Don't just leave it outside there. Let it not be the entertainment for the others. It is not a performance. What happens in the temples and the gurdwaras? It's a performance for every one of them. We go to see a performer perform. How good the composition, how good the voice, how good the rhythm, how good it, etc., etc. It's not a performance. It's a subject of the inner. Har bhaj mana. And what is the state when you will be recognized? Manan kado hoega? Kehne lage jehe bid jal ko meen. Just as the fish without the water cannot survive. When you get to that state that without meditating you cannot survive, you have arrived. The bhajan, jap, cannot be secondary to anything. Now forgive me, I'm not taking any shot at anybody. Tell me, when I asked you what happened, why didn't you show up last week, what happens? Well, we were busy. Isn't it? Isn't that? There was something more significant than this, isn't it? That's why we miss. And Gurbani says, a fish cannot say that. It cannot get out of the water because she forgot to jump into the ocean. You just enjoying the sun on the sand too much. It's not going to work. When you get to that stage, then that line, Jin Sivaya, Ten Paya Ma, Nanak Gaviye Guni Nidhan. So start Guni Nidhan. He says, I give you a characteristic that energy is in the whole. Nidhan actually literally means khazana, pandar. In his bank there is only gun, good things. Why? Who does the bad? Who takes care of the bad if he is only gun? Now that's not a riddle. It is a very simple thing. Good and bad is defined by us, not by him. Right? We call something good and call something bad. Not him. He's beyond both. So everything. Well, how can the cancer be good? I can understand health be good. How can the cancer be good? And the answer is obvious. If there was no cancer, you wouldn't know what health is. And if there was no health, you wouldn't know what cancer is. They exist with respect to each other. They're part of the drama. Nanak gaviye guni nidhan. How? Is that stage? How do I get to that stage where I become like a fish? So that the day the fish misses the water, she dies. Akha jiva. Visray marja. Can I take a jump? Quantum leap right away? He said, no, hold it. It's evolutionary stage. Don't get too over anxious and don't be discouraged either because it is a sahaj marg. Gaviya, suniya, man rakhiye bhav. Again, uthe gal aa gayi. Gaviya. This is the way it is translated in the intellectual literature. Onu gao, onu suno, te man jo da pyar rakho. No, not spiritually. Gaviye, japana, first stage. Then the next stage would be you start hearing from inside the body. Right now, when you say from outside, you hear from outside. Right? So when you are singing, when you are saying, when you are jumping, I'm creating the English words now. Oh my goodness, look at this. No. I used to laugh, now I am the butt of the joke. I used to laugh at this. Doctor ji, mere munde nu vekhyo na e kuch eat da hai, na kuch drink da hai. Bas weep da rehda hai. That is the British Punjabi for you. When you are meditating, first stage of meditation is start with your mouth, with your tongue. Use your tongue because human body is the only body in which that process is possible. No animal, no bird, no plant can do that. So that's the first step. Japana. Which is here Gavana, Gaviye. And then what will happen? He says, as you continue on this process, japdya, ये सिमरन बन जाएगा. And then सिमरन की निशानी की कहते हैं अंदरों सुनाई देगा. You will hear that word repeated to you without you ever using your mouth from inside. Please don't run to the doctor and say, I am gone mad, I am hearing things. No, go to the Guru, the Master, and thank him. The process has been completed. You have covered the first stage. The second stage of evolution would be Suniya. You will start hearing from inside. Simarna ban gaya. Then the third stage, सिमरदियां ध्यान लग जाता है. जिन्नी नाम ध्याया गाये मशक्कत का. That's mashakkat, that's mehnat, that's hard work. So third stage would be man rakhiye bhav. It will go deep into. Now there will be no word. It will be only a naad, a sound. And that sound will not be just coming from within you. No matter where you look, that sound will appear to be coming from all the universe to you. That's a manan. That stage. Gaviye, suniye, man rakhiye bhav. Then what's going on? What will happen? He says, antargata tirath malna. जिन सेव्या तिन माया मान, नानक गाविये गुणी धान, गाविये सुनिए मन रखिए भाव. So what's going to happen? Par har, dukh par har, sukh ghar la jaye. Means what? Look at what a beautiful signal. Today you are living in the life of dukha and sukha, positive and negative, right and wrong, black and white. When it becomes a manan, then as far as the negative is concerned, it doesn't touch you at all. Why? Because you have transcended that now. You have gone in. Dukh parhar. It doesn't mean it's not there. Right? The body will hurt. Garmi lagegi, sardi lagegi. But that's the body. Now those are the pains of the physical tissue. You will get detached from it. Your body will feel hungry, that's okay, you'll feed the body. Your body will feel sleepy, you will put the body to sleep, but you will be awake now. भिन्नी रैनड़िए चामकन तारे, जागे संत जना मेरे राम प्यारे, संत जना सदा जागे, नाम सिमरन अनदिनो. Now the mind is completely awake. It will never go to sleep. So when the heart wind is blowing, the body will feel, and you will just say, yeah, body is feeling hot. That's it. Kya hoga? Dukh parhar. And what's going on inside? Sukh ghar le ja. In this vehicle, in this container, in this body, what will happen? He says, this is what the Sikh are supposed to feel all the time. ਜਿਹੜਾ ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਬੋਲੇ ਸੋ ਨਿਹਾਲ, ਸਦਾ ਨਿਹਾਲ. So actually this statement was not meant for a slogan for the war, which is what it has become. When the Sikhs go to war, that's what they repeat. That's what not its purpose is. Its purpose is bole so. In you and in me, wo bol raha hai. Right now, wo bol raha hai. Right now, wo sun raha hai. Right? He's speaking here, he's listening there. Kathta bakta, sunata soi. So, Sikhs were supposed to remind each other what? Bole so. Kaun? Nihal. He is always happy. Blissful. Happy is not the right term actually. Always blissful. Who are you talking about? Well, he is Satyam, Shiromani, and timeless Akal. Sat, Shri, Akal. So when you get to this stage, he says, Dukh Parhar. The negative will not touch you, and inside you will always have the blissfulness. Sukh Ghar le ja. As ghar nahi, this not this ghar, the body. Body is the house. How do we know this? He says, well, this word comes from where? Gurmukh Nadan, Gurmukh Vedan, Gurmukh Rahastamai. He says, this secret is only experientially, existentially shown to the world through the one who has already achieved. Gur Mukh. Gur means the guide, the master. Mukh, the map. The secret always comes through that. There is no other way to indicate that, no other way to communicate with it except borrowing somebody's mouth. God, that energy, sends that message. It sits on somebody's face and say, you send this message to someone. So this type, a spiritual message, comes from what? Gurmukh. Nadan means sound. the sound that is coming through Guru's mouth, Gurmukh Vedan means the translation, the understanding. Vedang here means the understanding of it. What is that? He says Gurmukh Raya Samai, because he has now materialized. That's the only difference between the Guru and you, us beings. That's the only difference. There it has actualized. That energy is actualized there. Here it is hidden. That's all. No difference. Otherwise, Guru has the same limitations of mind-body system. Sona, Jagna, Khana, Pina, Uthna, everything is exactly the same. The Guru's bodies die also. Just as our body will die. So what's the difference? He says, there, Gurmukh Raya Samai. It has actualized in there. It has actually realized there. Guru Gorakh, Guru Brahma, Guru Parvati Mai. Now, the literal translation is कि Brahma te Parvati का मतलब शिव जी दी जनानी लगाया हुआ है. It's not wife of Shiva here, not spiritually. These are symbols. What are these symbols stand for? Gurmukh Nadan, Gurmukh Vedan, Gurmukh Raya Samai, Gur Isar. That creator and the Gur is one. Gur Isar, Guru Gorakh Brahma. The creator, the sustainer, not only in masculine form, but in the feminine form also. Gur Parvati Mai, they all are transcended, amalgamated as one energy. There is no distinction there. It is only in the outer world, male and female energy are separate. Yin and yang. Male and female or masculine and feminine. Not there. Parvati Mai. But it is a very difficult concept. It's not easily for the people, for the brain, for the minds who are absolutely lost in the Maya of the outer world. For them it's very difficult. So he says, Je ho jana akha nahi. Now, literally translated, if I know it, I will not say it. That's not the spiritual translation of that. Je how. How means ahankar, hangata. If you are logged into the how me, je how. If you are gone into that, je ho jana, jo udhar chala gaya hai, you are not going to find anything. It's impossible. And if you don't go there and stay focused and you find something, then you, knowing it, if you are in haume, if you are hankari, you will not find anything. So since you can't find anything, you can't say anything. But let's go the other way around. Let's say that you stay focused. Je ho jana. Je te haume wal chala gaya, te labna kuch nahi. To je nazar aa bhi gaya. If you have experienced something, you will not be able to describe it. Aakha nahi. Keh hi nahi sakna. Impossible. You cannot put it into words. हर गुण जिहड़ा जस है वो क्या नहीं जा सकता. Kabir says, हेरत हेर तरी सखी रहो कबीर हैराए, बूंद समानी संबंध में अब कुछ कह ना जाए. Okay, so now the drop went to the ocean and there is no distinction. And suddenly look at that, the Kabir becomes immediately aware of his folly. How can the drop has the power to travel and become part of the ocean? Right? Look at how refined the energy becomes. Kabir writes this shlok, Herat herat ri sakhi, raho Kabir hiraye, boond samani, samund mein, ab kich kehna jaye. The drop has become the part of the ocean. There is no way to draw the distinction, and suddenly he remembers, so wait a minute, that means that a drop did something. Can the drop ever do something like that? That would be very egotistic endeavor, wouldn't it? So he changes his own shloka. And in the very next shloka he says, Herat herat ri sakhi, raho Kabir hiraye, samundar garana boond mein ab kuch kehna jaye. He turned it around. तो बूंद नहीं सागर के पास गई, सागर आया बूंद के पास. बूंद में क्या हिम्मत है सागर को ढूंढ ले? सागर ने ढूंढ लिया उसको. And that's what Gurvani here is saying. If you, how would you describe it? He says, हर जस कहना जाए जैसे गूंगे की मठियाई. He says, you give the sweet to the deaf and the dumb, and when he tastes it, then say, describe it. What are you going to do? That's it. You can't say anything because there are no words. There is no tool. Human body has no tool. Even when he experiences it, je haun jana, akha nahi, kehna kathan na jaye. So then how would I ever get on this path? This has become a very difficult riddle. And Gurbani solves the riddle with a single brush stroke and says, Gura ik dehe bujhai. He says, the master, the teacher has solved this riddle for you. Gura ik dehe bujhai. That one major riddle. Bujhai, he has solved it. What is that riddle? What are the fights and arguments today on this planet? Right? We have 5 system major. Mine is better, isn't it? One, Muhammad is the only one. And if you go to Egypt and they say, no, wait a minute, this is the god, goddess of power, and this is the goddess of money, and this is the goddess of wealth. And then you come to the Christians and say, no, wait a minute, my fatherland, come through me only. Right? Those are the arguments. Guru Nanak says, wait a minute, the Guru has solved this riddle for you. What? Sabhna jiyan ka ek dada. You just remember this, that every G, now G does not mean human being. Jia, wherever there is a life force, and the life force is in this harmonium as well. It looks like a dead wood, but it is not. The most dormant form of the energy, most alive form of the energy. That's it. That's the difference. And from this wood to that plant, from that plant to the bird and the animal, from those animals to the human body, this is the evolutionary stage. That's it. But the energy is only one. Never forget this. Gura ik dehe bujhai. One secret has already been given to you. That riddle has already been solved. That it does not matter whether you are born a Muslim, a Hindu, a Christian, a Sikh. It has absolutely nothing to do with spirituality. That's an accident of birth, time and space. If you get trapped by time and space, forget it. You are not candidate for spirituality. If that time and space pulls you, I just had an experience. I was doing a kirtan somewhere, and one of our very close friends who was invited there came. Well, the friend happened to be belonging to Arya Samaj. And that friend refused to pay respect to Guru Granth Sahib. They just sat on the back. I'm just watching it. What kind of arrogance is this? अगर उसे हवन कोट रखा होता तो जाके जरूर अपना कर्म कर दे. The Granth Sahib बैठा है पोस्ट कहेंगे. Why can't you pay respect when you go to a mosque or a church or a temple or a gurdwara? How does it matter? These are just different methods of getting to the same. You don't even have a social courtesy anymore. that you are going to display your hatred right on your hand and say, wait a minute. You are chanting, that's why I say, I don't care whether you say Vaheguru, you say Om, you say Allah, you say Beetle, you say Ram. How does it matter to me? The point is, are you concerned, focused on that creative energy or not? If you are focused on there, go ahead, knock yourself out. This is the riddle. What's the riddle? The basic barrier on the path of spirituality is the memory of who am I? I'm born into this culture, into this family, on this piece of land. Hence, people have written books, God is a Christian. Have you read that book? And then somebody created a book called God is actually a black man. What is that doing? It's only showing the ignorance of the human mind and how ego has inflated itself and gone beyond complete control. It does nobody any good. So Sikhism starts with that assumption, say, Gura ek dehe bujhai. The master, the guru, has done one thing for you. Dehe bujhai, bujharat. That riddle has been solved for you. Accept it. What? Sabhna jiyan ka ek data. There's only one God for everyone. So main visarna jai. Don't ever forget that. So let's hope that we can elevate ourselves to that and remember, let not the eye stop at the turban or the yarmulke or the topi or the cap. Let the eye go beyond the skin. Let the eye not stop at the man and the woman and the child and the black and the white. Let it go beyond. Go beyond to see what? Antarjami. That one which is inside. If you start reminding yourself and start looking at the life that way, slowly and slowly and slowly, you will find that which is self-created, self-born, will start revealing its secret to you as well, as it has given the secret to a Kabir, a Freed, a Nanak, a Ram, a Buddha. They saw the secret, and that's why they are yelling at the top of their voice, remember it. Sabhna jiyan ka ek data. So main visarna jai. With that I want to conclude today's talk. And we have just done 5 stanzas of Japuji. It has 38 stanzas total. So you see that how long this journey is going to be. We meet every alternate week here. You will see, those of you who will continue on the journey, that eventually that technique what we are talking about, it will be disclosed to you and actually described. This is how the Nanak's methodology tells you to meditate. So and it will go through the processes as we continue. So with that, I want to thank you all for coming tonight. Those of you who came for the first time, I want to welcome you all. From this point onward, we traditionally have discussions, questions of any kind. That one of the reasons we do it this way, because if you're doing in an institution, somebody says it, you hear it, and there's no time or even opportunity to say, wait a minute, I did not understand that, or it sounded contradictory or confusing, or my mind wandered away somewhere, would you please repeat that? And so that's the purpose. We spent about 15 minutes today in meditation. My aim is to increase that to half hour. So as the congregation stabilizes, the first half hour will be dedicated to the meditation, and then the next hour to the talk. So we will meet 2 weeks from today. If there is something that is appealing to you, it's touching your heart, touching your soul, remember, it isn't me. It's not my words. They are not my thoughts. They are not my ideas. somebody is using my mouth to talk to you. So take that home. Anything that is hurting you, bothering you, disturbing you, that is coming from my arrogance and my ignorance. For that, I am guilty and I seek your forgiveness. Hope you will have the heart to forgive me for that, and we'll meet again in 2 weeks with that. Thank you very much. Let's open for question and answers.